Hey guys, and welcome to another episode on the Dev Marketer channel. I'm your host, J.A. Curtis, but you guys can call me Alex. And in this video, we're going to be actually continuing our comment system on our How to Build a Blog with Laravel series. Now, this is a half episode, and if you guys remember from earlier in the series, the half episodes are the ones that are kind of optional, not necessarily needed, but if you want to watch it, then by all means, go for it. I'm throwing them on YouTube, so you can watch them if you want, but they're not critical to actually getting the application running. This video, the reason it's a half episode is because we're actually just going to style up our commenting system. So we worked on the last video on our making a comment system, and this is what it looks like. It's pretty dang ugly, and we're just going to make it look a little cleaner, a little bit nicer, and a little bit more like a traditional comment system. And if you want to come along for the ride, stay tuned. And if you already know CSS and HTML, we're not going to be going over anything crazy in this video, and nothing focused on Laravel or anything like that. So if you want to skip over it, by all means, I don't blame you. Okay, so you can go to part 42, which is coming up soon, and that's where we're actually going to work more with the comment system and try to get it complete. All right, so let's go ahead, let's style this up and make it look a lot nicer. Real quick, if you're still with me and you're thinking about leaving, all the stuff is going to be, all the changes in the code are going to be in the description below. Go on over to GitHub, look at part 41 and a half. There should be a release for 41 and a half. Go look at that release and you can take a look at the code we have and copy it into your own application or style it yourself as a challenge. Okay, let's head on over and get started. Okay, so this is what we got to work with. It looks pretty ugly. We definitely know that. And so we're going to clean it up, just make it look a little nicer. I was just kind of browsing for inspiration, just went over to look at some themes and stuff and see what they're doing. And this is just one that kind of, I'm like, that looks nice, looks pretty easy. We can definitely make this happen. Let's go ahead and do it. So this is basically what we're going to be doing in this video. It's just something kind of simple design like this. I want to show you my end goal so that you can see what we're working towards. But this is basically it. I want to basically indent the comments like this. So there's space for a profile picture on the left, so it looks a little nicer. We're going to have the name a little bit bigger, and then we're going to have the date underneath it in a lighter color like this. And then we're just going to have our text in here. Notice how everything's aligned to this indent here. So everything's indented with the image on the side, okay? So that's what we're going to be kind of focusing on. We don't have nested comments in our series, and we're not going to, just because it gets tricky, and we can work on that when we do an advanced blog or something like that. Okay, so all right, let's go ahead and get started on this. So first thing we need to do is get rid of this name in this comment. We don't need that. Let's just clean that up, and then we're going to make the name a little bigger. We're going to make a heading on there, or sorry, a time stamp on there. And then we need to bring in an image and indent everything in. Okay, so let's do that. So let's head over to Sublime. I think I don't have it open, so let's Sublime. And the first things we're gonna be working today in our views. So resources, views, and then we're on our pages. Or no, we're not. We're on our blog, and we're on single.blade.php. And then the other thing we're going to be working on is our CSS today. So what I'm going to do is this is about how I usually work I usually come up to view, layouts, and then columns 2. This gives me two different areas. I can have two files open side by side. This is how I normally work when I'm working, for myself here, not in screencasts. All right, so on this second screen, I want to open up our styles.css, which is under public CSS styles.css, okay? So these are the two files I want open, is our single.blade.php for our blog and our styles.css here, all right? Okay, so this is plain CSS, no Sass, no nothing. I'm gonna have to try to remember that because I always work with Sass, so I've got to remember to work with plain CSS now. So let's do this. Okay, so first thing, let's get rid of this name. We don't need that. And let's get rid of this comment. We don't need that. We also don't need line breaks. Let's get rid of all the line breaks. I was using line breaks in the previous video, but that was a mistake. You don't usually use line breaks to actually space things up. It's considered really bad practice. You really should style it with CSS, use margins and padding and stuff like that. That's how you should be doing it. We're going to do it right now, and we're going to we'll actually do it that way. But in the previous video, I just kind of did it quick and dirty. The other thing, I don't think we need paragraph tags. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to move these out to separate divs. Oops. We're going to move these out to separate divs. So let's pull this out real quick, and we're going to make a div, and we're just going to make, we'll call it author info, like that. And then we're going to have a second div here that has the comment, and we'll call this comment content. Okay. So let's pull this up into here, and that should be pretty good. And then the next thing we need to do is we're going to, in our author info, we need to add our timestamp underneath. So we're going to go comment and created at. Okay, now this is going to do us, this is not going to be like formatted. We need to format it, but that's going to be basically the basic layout. So let's see what we've got so far. So you can see everything got pulled together. There's no margin or padding or styling. We got our name, we got our timestamp, and then we've got our comment, and it kind of goes down like that. All right, so now let's go ahead and make our title a little bigger. Let's pull this on another line. Let's make this a little smaller and lighter colored, kind of like what we have here. And let's start with that. So let's see here. Okay, well, first of all, let's make a placeholder for our image just because we're going to have to work around it. So we just need to be ready for it. So we're going to put the image. The image is going to float to the left. So we need to put that first before the title. So let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to make an image tag. We're going to not worry about the source right now, but let's give it a class just so we can access it in the CSS. And we'll just call it like author image. Okay. And then that'll be our actual image. And then, okay, let's wrap both of these into another div. We'll just call it author name. And let's pull both of these up into there, okay? And then, just kind of give this a little more spacing here. Okay, and then let's see what else we need from here. Let's go ahead and just put the, let's put this in a heading. It's like an H4. And then the timing we'll put just in like a paragraph tag for now. And we'll just style the paragraph tag up because it's going to mess our style up a little bit probably. Let's just see what we got so far. Okay, it's looking better already. It really is. Okay, so let's see. We're going to want to make this now. Let's make it a little bit lighter color. And we're also going to want to get these a little closer together probably. And then let's get our image working as well. So let's do the image right now. Okay, so first of all, we're going to go over to our CSS now on the side. And we've got this author image. Oops. Author image. This actually targets the image tag right here. And let's set it to the width. Let's set it to 50 pixels. And then the height to 50. And we're going to make a little circle out of it. So let's do border radius. And let's set that to 50%, which makes a circle. And that should be pretty good. Well, let's just see what this looks like in here real quick. Okay, perfect. So we got this. We got our little image. We got these. We just need to float these up on the side. So let's do that real quick. And let's also add some spacing. This whole thing is wrapped in a div. It's called comment. And we're just going to add some spacing below it. And that way it looks, there's spacing between them basically. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So let's grab up here. Let's do comment. So we're targeting this div right here, which contains all the comment content. So we're going to do comment, and we're just going to give it a class of like a margin bottom. And we'll give it a margin bottom of, let's do like 30, 35 pixels. Let's try that. Just see how it looks. Okay, that's pretty good, I think. We might need to do a little more, but I think it's good. And let's try 45 real quick. Yeah, that's about perfect. Let's do that. So, and now let's pull the name and the timestamp up next to the image, kind of like what we've got going on here. Let's do that real quick. So we're gonna got lots of stuff going on now. Okay, so to do that, what we need to do is target our, let's grab author image and let's have it float left. Left. And then that's all we need for author image. And then, so this is going to float to the left now, which will kind of force these to float, the author name. So let's grab that real quick. Author name. We also want that to float left. So then these should float next to each other. Like that. They need to clear. So what we need to do is now clear the comment. Let's go ahead and do that. To do that, we're going to want to actually grab this comment content. So let's go down here, comment content. Don't say that. Say that 5 times fast. And let's clear this on both sides. There we go. So now we cleared it. We got both of these up here. We got the comment below. Let's move the name up so it's flusher with the top of the image. And then let's also lower this spacing in here. Let's just take a look at what this is. This is an H4, so there's padding, there's margin, 10 pixels on the top, 10 pixels on the bottom. So let's minimize that to like maybe 5 pixels on both sides. And let's also add some margin on the left here so there's spacing between the image and the name. Okay, so we're gonna add just margin over here on the author name. Margin, let's just do margin total. Let's add 15, or no, what'd I say? 5 pixels top and bottom, and then we'll add margin. That'll add 5 pixels on all the sides, but then we'll just overwrite the left side, and we'll just override it and say it's 15 pixels. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty good. Oh, we didn't target the actual H4 though, because we targeted author name, but we need to target the actual H4. So let's do that. Okay, so author name, let's grab here, let's author name, and then we'll grab the H4 inside of the author name, which will be the item we're concerned about. And let's just pull both these down into that, like there. Okay, now I think this will take effect. Let's try it. There we go. So that took effect. This didn't take effect for some reason. We just need to give the paragraph, I guess. Let's see, how could we do this? Oh, let's just pull. Okay, so let's put the 15 pixels left margin in this author, on this author name, so that they're both over there, and then just not mess with the H4. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, so let's come over here. Let's take this margin left and let's put it up on author name. Okay, so that way, because both of the name and the timestamp are inside of author name, so this way they'll both be identical because they'll both have that margin left. Now this is also going to add 5 pixels top, left, bottom, right, all sides. So what we need to do is just tell it to only do top and bottom. And so by doing 5 pixels, this is top, bottom, this is left, right. So then it's 0 pixels left and right. But then this will have, this itself will have 15 pixels. So it should be lined up. Let's save it. Okay, that's what we want. Now, let's see here. I think that's good. Is this spaced? Let's go ahead and make this a little smaller. So now we're gonna do, let's see, what do we have here? Let's give this class a name. We're gonna give it author time. Let's put it under here, author time. And now let's style this directly. This is the actual time of it. So let's set the size a little bit smaller, and then let's also make it in that example we were doing. It was italicized, and then let's also give it a color. Let's make it a light gray color. So like E. No, let's do it lighter than that. Let's just do A, so you can read it. E is gonna be way too light. There we go. That looks good. And then let's now move this over to match the margin over here. So we're going to move this over like that and then line it up. So let's see, we got 15 pixels from here to here and then 50 pixels from here to here. So total that's 65 pixels, right? 50 plus 15, yeah, 65 pixels. So now let's come over to our comment content right here. And let's do margin left 65 pixels. There we go. Looks good. And let's just make this a little bigger. Kind of like you see this has got... We're not going to mess with the font. The font would be... It'd be nice to have a good font on there. We're not going to mess with the font right now. We'll just... so it's not going to look quite as good, but we can do some stuff to make it look a little nicer. So like, I'm guessing this is like 16-point font. Let's see real quick. Paragraph. Let's see. It's computed. Font family is Merriweather. It's 15-point font. 25-point line height. Okay, that's kind of what I wondered. We're going to do... Let's do something similar. We'll do, let's see, comment content. Let's do font size. We're going to do 16 pixels. And then font, or line height, we're going to do 1.3M. Just like that. That looks good. Yeah, I think we're good. That might be basically what we need to do. Now let's go ahead and add something up here just to separate these comments so that they look like it says it's a comment section, basically. We'll do that above the loop because we only want that once. And let's set that to be like an H3 maybe. And yeah, let's do that. H3. Okay, and then we're going to do comments like that. That looks good. Now I kind of like over here, it said at the top, it says like 2 comments. So let's put our comment count up here. So here, let's close out all this stuff so we can read it. Come over here. And what we'll do here is we can do comment, or wait. We're post comments count. And that should give us the count of the comments. So 5 comments. We just need spacing here. So let's go ahead and do that. So 5 comments. Let's give it a space. Just like that. So that looks good. Let's give it some margin underneath. We're going to set comments title. And then down here, let's do the same thing. We're going to do comments title. Let's just set this to be like... 45 pixels. I don't know what I'm doing there. Margin, bottom, 45 pixels. There we go. That looks good. And then let's add a little comment icon. So let's go over to Bootstrap real quick. Get Bootstrap. And there are some like little icon things in Bootstrap that we can do. These glyph icons. So if you go over to components, and I'm sure they have a comment one. Let's see real quick. The little bookmark's kind of cool. They don't have a comment? That's weird. Am I missing it? They've got to have one. Here's one. Okay. Comment. It's got... We just grab all these. And then what we need to do is over in our project, we're going to put a span tag. So right inside of here. So inside of our H3, we're going to do a span tag. We don't want the space there. Okay, so span tag, and give it a class with what we just copied. So glyph icon, comment, and then that span tag, and that should be good. Let's save that, refresh, and there we go. So it looks pretty good. Let's just add a little spacing between here, and we're good. So let's do comments, title, span, and then let's just target that to be margin right, and we'll set that to like 15 pixels maybe. There we go. I think that looks good. Yeah, that looks good. Let's try an H2, just see what an H2 looks like. Is that too big? Hard to say. Let's do H3. I think that's better. I think that's too big, so. 5 comments. I think that's good. That looks really good, I think. All right, cool. So there we basically have it. Now, the last thing we could do is we could format our time, obviously, and then we could also add the image. Now, I'll show you one quick way to add an image, and that's just with something called Gravatar. Let's come back over to our extra tab, and I'll type Gravatar. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Gravatar, but Gravatar it's actually owned by WordPress, and it's kind of a way to make universal avatars a thing. Okay, so it's kind of cool. It's easy. It's an easy way to add avatars to your project without like having any infrastructure to do so. So you don't need to upload images. You don't need to do anything like that. People don't need to create accounts. You can just basically automatically have these avatars available for people. And it's really, really easy to do. So we're going to use a basic API that they have here. We can just access it with HTML and stuff, so it's really easy to use. And we're going to grab in, if they have a Gravatar, we'll pull it in. Otherwise, we'll grab a default image, okay? So you can see if you come to gravatar.com, it says how to use Gravatar, and you click on that. And it gives you kind of how you would do it here from a basic. I'm sure they've got looks like they have libraries and stuff, but it's really not needed. This is really basic. So click on Gravatar image request. It tells you basically what you need to do. So in order to get the image, you can basically add it directly to an image tag. And the URL for that would just be this gravatar.com/avatar/ this hash. Okay. So let's go ahead and add that in here. Let's see. Here's our image here. So let's go ahead and add it in. Well, it's obviously not going to work because the hash isn't set up, but actually let's undo this. So we're going to generate this URL, which we're going to have to do. So let's put it in quotes. There we go. And let's actually close the styles. I don't need that anymore. Let's go to Tool, View, Layout, Single, just so you guys can see this a little better. And okay, so now in our image tag right here, we're basically generating a URL that's going to give us the person's Gravatar or their default image if they don't have a Gravatar. Okay, and that's going to allow us to generate avatars. Like almost every WordPress blog, this is how it works. So that's why when you post on like anyone that's using WordPress, a lot of times it pulls in like an avatar or like a default avatar, even if you don't have an account with that blog. This is how they're doing it, is they're using Gravatar, okay? So Gravatar is kind of cool. Not everyone has a Gravatar like avatar set up, so that it won't pull and work for everybody, but it does work for a surprising number of people that actually have it, especially tech-related people will have it, okay? And the way you do it here is you got this URL, and then you have this hash. So we need to generate this hash. Okay, so we're going to generate this hash here. So this is where we're going to generate the hash. And then we can pass in any parameters that we want, which we'll talk about in a second. All right, so let's just generate the hash first things first. So let's come back over to Gravatar. And it says here that the hash needs to be replaced with a calculated hash for the email address that you're requesting. And this is how it knows which Gravatar to do, is it's linked with an email address. So we need to pass in the email address for that comment and then hash it. And then the Gravatar will give us the image. So what we'll do here is we're going to calculate hash, and it tells you how to calculate it. First, we need to trim the white space from the email address, force everything to lowercase, and then do an MD5 hash on it. Okay, so we're gonna do this all online. It's not gonna be pretty. I know it won't, but this is what we're gonna do. So we're going to we've got basically what we need, and now we just need to add our hash and we'll be done. So in order to add the hash, we have to generate it. So we're gonna concatenate. We're gonna use the period to concatenate, and then we're going to generate the hash. So we have to now do this. This is gonna be confusing, but we have to do it basically in reverse order. So we're gonna trim the comment email. Okay, that's gonna trim the white space. And then after that, what we would do is we would lower it to lowercase, or yeah, change it to lowercase. So then we do str to lower, but we need to do that on the outside here, like this. Oh shoot! And then after that, we do an MD5 string. Okay. So the reason I'm doing these like backwards is because it's going to work from the outside or the inside out. So it's first going to do this function. It's going to trim everything, and then it's going to do str to lower. So it's going to lower what we just trimmed, and then it's going to do the MD5 hash on what we just trimmed and lowercased, and it's going to finish up with that. Okay, and that's the order it wants it done in. So we actually did it what looks like backwards, but it's actually the right way. Okay, so let's see. So we basically did our URL, plus we concatenated this hash that we just generated. So we actually it should work. Let's go ahead and save it. And let's come back over here and refresh. And you can see that we've got these little avatars now. So we're getting the default avatar because so I actually just went through and added another comment on this post with an email address that I know has a Gravatar attached to it. So let's see if that works. So I scroll down. You can see that I get my Gravatar down here. So I know that what we're doing is working because this email, the email I used for this has a Gravatar associated with it. Whereas the emails I used with these were fake emails, so they don't have avatars. So they're getting the default avatar because if you don't have a Gravatar, it gives you the default. So that's what's happening here. That's why all these are the same. And then this one has an actual avatar because this one used an email address that actually has one associated with it. Okay. So it is working. So we've got this working. So now we have this. We've got comments. We've got everything. It's looking really, really good. The last thing we want to do is, let's see. Actually, I think we're done. Yeah, we're basically done. Okay, so we wanted to format this. We could go ahead and do that. We could just do str to time on our created app. And then we'll run date on top of that. So we'll run date on top of our timestamp. And then we just need to format the date. Okay, so the timestamp needs to be the second parameter, which means up here we need to have our first parameter. And then the first parameter is just going to be the format. I'll link this down in the description if you want to look at it. It's going to be this right here, which is basically just, we've done this before, where we basically generate the format that we want. So we're going to do a standard, like, let's see, like May 1st, 2012 kind of thing. So we need this. We need the capital F. Let's put this back over here, and I'll just look at it from the other screen. So then we're going to come over here, and we're going to do capital F. So that'll be the month, and then now we need the day, so then that will be an N, and then we want the T, like if there's a TH or an ST, we just do S, and then we do a comma, and then we put the year, and so the year is going to be a capital Y, I believe. Yep, capital Y. And then we're going to do the time, so we'll actually do the exact time. So let's see, day, do we have time? Here's time. Now I like 12-hour time because we're in the U.S. But if your other countries usually use 24-hour time, so it's a capital G. But lowercase g is a 12-hour format of time without the leading zeros. And then we need minutes, and we'll just stop at minutes. So that's I. Okay. So then this thing right here will generate the timestamp we need. Let's save it. Come over here. Let's refresh. And now you can see we've got July 7th. Oh, we need the PM at the end. So that one is just, let's see, it's a like that. Okay, so now we generate that, and now we get, we probably just want a space at the time, but that's basically it. Okay, so now we're generating comments. People can add comments. We're generating an avatar. Oh, the last thing I was going to show you with the avatar is there are parameters you can set. So for example, down here, you can see we can set the size by just passing in a get parameter down here of s equals 200. That would give you 200 by 200 image. They're always square, so you only set one parameter and they're both, or one dimension, they're both the same. We could also do, in our case, we're only doing a 50 pixel wide image, so we really don't need to waste the space of a bigger image. We could just do 50 by 50. And so let's do that. We'll do s equals 200. And then you can also set a default image. So if you have your own custom default image you've created, you can put it up online at a publicly available URL address, and then you can submit that at the end with this d equals parameter, as long as you encode the URL that it's going to, and you can have your own custom default image instead of the one we've got, which is this one. That's the default one. You can also set, there's a couple pre-made ones here. So if you want this mystery man, for example, you can do this mm. So we'll do d equals mm, and it will give you this as the default image. Or you can use some of these other patterns that have like generated, so that way they look different instead of all the same. Let me just show you real quick what that looks like. When we're in now, after we create our hash, like here, all we need to do now is concatenate again, and we're going to concatenate a question mark, and then we're going to do our parameters. So we'll do s equals 50. That'll give us our 50 by 50 image, which is all we really need. And then we also can do an end sign and do any of these other ones. So if we do d equals, that changes the default. And we can do d equals mm, which will give us our mystery man. Now we come over here and refresh. We get the mystery man for all the defaults, and then the one that they've got. They also have like these generated ones. So like, let's see, this monster ID is kind of cool. Like, or this Gravatar, they generate them. So they all look unique or different. So we can do like this Gravatar. Let's try that real quick. So instead of MM, we're going to type Gravatar like that. And you're going to get, when you refresh, now these are all the same email address. So that's why they all look the same. But then this is a different email address, and then this gives us the non-default, okay? And you can play around with whatever these are. This way it kind of looks a little different. And they've got a retro one. It's kind of cool. Like that. And again, it matches up. Since these are all the same email address, they get the same one. Okay, so let's see. But I think we're having fun with this. Monster ID. Let's try the last one. Monster ID. Monster ID. Okay. I think I spelled monster wrong. Okay, refresh. And you can see now they all have their own little monsters. Okay, so anyway, you guys can have fun with that. So we've got our comments done. That's what it took to do comments. Just some basic CSS. Kind of had some fun with that. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And you can see down here we add our own comments. I think the whole thing's looking pretty good now. And we're gonna work on actually managing comments on the back end now in the next video in part 42. So I'll see you guys over there.